bring that on down. Good morning, July 16th. On your morning, we appreciate you being here for the Cornbread Man Morning Show on the Wolf Nation Network, now streaming live on Roku, the Wolf Nation Network Roku channel. We still else. We've always went to Facebook, YouTube, Rumble, Twitch, Kick, Instagram, Pickaxe. Oh my goodness, what else am I missing? Several. It's LinkedIn. There's bunches of them. Telegram sometimes. We have even more. So we put it to many other channels. So they're MP3s and big old ongoing streaming, recording, doing all those things. We hope you're doing well and ready to have a great, fantastic Thursday. And the best way to get your Thursday started off the best way is to share screen and show the verse of the day. And that verse is coming up any moment. Well, why did it do it like that? What a crazy thing to shove it all the way out. There it is. I'm gonna have to. I probably had a setting for Dean or something last night in the show. Wherefore, my beloved brethren, let every man be swift to hear, slow to speak, slow to wrath. Absolutely. We'll bring that back down and try to. There we go. I think we were doing some settings last night for Dean doing a promo. So never seen him do that before. So there's your word of the day from the book of James, chapter 1, verse 19. This day in history, a few things. In 1799 was Bastille Day. In 1772, Captain James Cook began his second voyage to the South Seas aboard HMS Resolution. In 1832, Mississippi River source was discovered. Kind of mentioned that the other day. I've been mentioning that this week. In 1837, Queen Victoria became the first monarch to reside in the present-day Buckingham Palace. And in 1850, machine-made ice debut. We've never been the same, especially with little bullet ice, or some call it the Sonic. I know that's, and they do have that, but they're not the only ones. My wife loved that. Just say, let's go get some of that ice. Absolutely. So a few little things. I was trying to look and see if there was anything else I want to mention. I think we're good. The birthdays today. Will Ferrell, 58. 58. Joe Jackson, baseball player. He was lived from 1887 to 1951. Honoring his birthday today. Corey Feldman, movie actor, 54. I liked a couple things he's in. Nothing. Not a big fan, not a huge fan, but I'm not knocking him either. And let's see here. I think there was one more I wanted to mention. Maybe not. Oh yes, Barry Sanders, the great Barry Sanders, football player, even a better man, 57 years old. Just saying, we all make mistakes. So if he made any in his life, I don't know them, but I really appreciated his playing, but also his stand. I mean, when he stepped away, and he tithed to his church when he got his contract and everything. I have a lot of respect for Barry Sanders. In the news today, it's all over the place. We were covering last night on the PNN News, but the ongoing attacks, bombings on Iran stays the same, and they're inflicting more damage. And the president is talking about finishing off the RGC if they don't back off. In the midst of that, there was a prisoner release, an American female, who last night we didn't know the name. Today we do. We'll get to that in a minute. But the president is amping up and promising even more and heavier strikes. In Iran, they have put up a billboard, a massive billboard, which depicts the president in a coffin in Tehran, central Tehran, and it depicts the president dead in a coffin, and it has intensified concerns over escalating rhetoric from Iran, who has said that they will take him out. The public display follows the recent funeral ceremonies for the Ayatollah Ali Khamenei, in which mourners openly called for the killing of him. Also, Prime Minister Bibi Netanyahu and late senator now. I can't do anything to him, Lindsey Graham. It was erected in Islamic Revolution Square. Well, that sounds like a wonderful place, right? It includes the English language phrase "we." Uh, I'm not going to say that on the air; it'll probably get me flagged. But basically, we what they will do to Trump, alongside imagery widely interpreted as a direct threat against the American leader. Iranian officials have repeatedly vowed revenge for Soleimani's death, including just what we just mentioned. U.S. intelligence agencies have warned for years that Tehran has pursued plots targeting Trump and former Trump administration officials. And I will say this, nowadays in the political climate, all political leaders are a target. We need to take necessary security details and all the details and all the management of that very seriously. I know the Supreme Court justices, even in our own nation, because of violent threats in our nation, is looking at putting in place some more security for them, which it is really pitiful security that they do not have. I mean, it's weak. So they've looked at that. But I was going to say, even after they leave office, of course, the presidents are going to have Secret Service. Maybe not as as in depth to all the family as maybe when they were in, but they'll always have Secret Service protection. But you have to think of all the people that you know, served in the government. They're going to have to be careful now and in the future of these things, as you know, even if it was after office, they would be a gotcha kind of thing where they could say, "Look what we did." So they need to take those things serious. I don't think you allow yourself to be shut away and not live your life, but do need to pay attention. And anything seems odd, always follow your gut, things like that. Former Secretary of State Mike Pompeo and former National Security Advisor John Bolton have also been identified as by U.S. authorities as targets of these plots from the Iranian regime. The Justice Department previously charged individuals linked to Iran's Islamic Revolutionary Guard Corps in connection with an alleged plan to go after Bolton. Prosecutors said the plot involved offering hundreds of thousands of dollars to carry out the plot, underscoring what many U.S. officials described as a persistent and organized campaign. Bolton has publicly acknowledged the threats against him and has been under U.S. government protection. Similarly, Pompeo has received security details in response to intelligence assessments pointing to credible risk. More recently, War Secretary Pete Hegseth disclosed at a Pentagon briefing that American forces had carried out a targeted operation against a senior within an Iranian unit tasked with orchestrating those attempts against the president and other U.S. officials. While details of the operation remain limited, Hegseth described the individual as, quote, a key operative, end quote, involved in planning external attacks, including those directed at the American leadership. These developments come amid already heightened tensions between Iran and the United States following months of conflict. Goes on to say a few other things, but that is not surprising. And like I said, after your service in office, on the book tour or whatever it is, need to be very, very careful of those things. The Knesset, basically the Congress of Israel, held a moment of silence for Senator Lindsey Graham. Senator Tim Scott of South Carolina, leaders schedules delay Graham's funeral. He said Wednesday that funeral arrangements for the late senator have been complicated by scheduling involving world leaders who are interested in attending. Well, the security of that would be heavy. Israeli Prime Minister Bibi Netanyahu, Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky, and NATO Secretary General Mark Rutte were among the world leaders who offered their condolences after Graham's death. Scott disclosed the details in a news conference at the National Republican Senatorial Committee headquarters, where he honored his former colleague. Scott is the chair of the NRSC, which is tasked with electing Republicans to the Senate and maintaining the party's Senate majority. Scott referred to Graham as an American patriot who served South Carolina well as just a really dear friend of mine. He will lie in. He confirmed that an offer has been made for Graham to lie in state at the Capitol, while organizers determine when the Washington National Cathedral would be available. As of Wednesday afternoon, no funeral arrangements had been announced. including in South Carolina. He said the availability of the National Cathedral with the schedules of global leaders has made planning more difficult. So they'll work it out. I'd be interested to see who comes. And like I said, security would need to be very tight. A situation like that with, I wouldn't think that all those leaders you just mentioned would come. They may send someone representing. And if they do, wow, Iran would be certainly interested in attending in another kind of way, as we understand. um, the doctor, they've had a doctor explain the aortic tear, and basically, folks, we all need to be careful with our hypertension, making sure. I mean, it's that pressure builds. We know we call it the solid killer. There's usually no warning signs, and it just happens. It's a major event, and survival is rare in cases like this because the rip or the tear is so massive. There's just no time to do anything. So he was getting older, had been traveling, just was traveling back, and uh, had whatever he had going on. But we need to make sure that we keep a check on those things. It is one that I think it's sad for anybody. Listen, whether you like them or not, it's sad when death occurs. We always wanted that, but because it's somebody's family. But um, again, I'll get hate mail on that. But I always, God intended everyone to follow Him, and some don't. And so whether you think whatever you think about Him, you think about Him. But it does bring about the greater discussion of health, and when these things happen, it at least gets it in the public consciousness of healthcare and taking care of yourself. And we've all got things we need to do. I do, but I do keep my blood pressure regulated, and those things can spike. They believe that my wife's did. That was one of the things that led to her ultimately passing away, was a spike in her blood pressure. And she was on medication. Still can happen. So, and she was not near the age that he was, a few years younger. So yes, U.S. resumed the strikes on Iran in daylight, part of the increasing tempo of attacks. They go on to say the wave of strikes hitting dozens of targets over 7 hours overnight. CENTCOM said Wednesday. Later, it resumed striking Iran during daylight, an unusual move, I can speak, that further signaled the stresses that they're putting in tempo of the attacks. The American strikes hit an Iranian army barracks, killed at least 7 troops, and wounded more than 260 people across the country, Iranian officials said. One strike targeted a barracks for Iran's 388th Mechanized Infantry Brigade, which operates tanks and armored vehicles in Sistan and Balochistan province, Iranian state television reported. The report said the Americans fired at least 13 missiles in the attack, and that the 7 dead included conscripts and career soldiers. A number of troops were wounded, including those at the barracks. More than 30 people have been killed in recent days, Iranian government spokespeople have said, without elaborating. And of course, the blockade has been put in place. They're very angry about it, and this goes on. So we get the idea. There are missile drones, plane strikes on the sea and in the country, and increasing pressure of what targets are hit, and bringing ever closer to Tehran and putting pressure on the capital. So we will see what happens there. Looking over at a couple of other stories at the New York Post. Story about Tim Walz, his baffling response, they call it, to the Trump administration reporting this pedophile illegal immigrant that he pardoned. Tim Walz offered a baffling response on Tuesday, in this article. It is at the New York Post by Ella Morrison. On Tuesday, the Trump administration reporting an illegal migrant convicted of raping a 10-year-old who was pardoned by the Minnesota governor last month. Did that make us safer? Did that make the children that are left behind more stable? Walz asked. Days after Secretary of State Marco Rubio revealed that he revoked the legal status of Tulu Vong, a 42-year-old from Laos. Did it improve the idea that we can't all be judged by our worst day? And I want to be very clear, these are horrific crimes. They often are. Waltz added, according to KTTC, the Department of Homeland Security on Friday announced the deportation of Vang, a convicted child offender who has been pardoned by Waltz. Had been pardoned by Waltz last month. In a statement, the White House confirmed Rubio terminated Vang's legal status and deported him back to Laos. Under President Trump, criminal illegal aliens, and we're just going to rephrase this, to hurt children, will be found, arrested, and removed, and Democratic politicians will not stand in the way, the statement read. Vang entered the U.S. in 1994 and was granted legal status by the Clinton administration, according to DHS. In 2006, he was convicted of first-degree criminal assault, we'll call it, after he repeatedly assaulted a young girl between 2002 and 2004. The young girl was 10 years old when it first occurred, and he once offered the young victim $10 in exchange for her silence on the assaults. Vang justified the assaults as a, quote, cultural thing when interviewed by police, and added that the young victim was just as guilty as him and should be arrested, according to DHS. How do you defend that, Mr. Waltz? How do you defend that? Following his conviction, a Department of Justice immigration judge ordered a final order for removal of Vang in October of 2006. He was arrested by ICE in December of 25, and a District of Minnesota judge ordered his release from ICE detention in February of this year. The convicted offender, we'll say, was pardoned by the Minnesota Board of Pardons, which consists of Waltz, Supreme Court Justice, Minnesota Supreme Court Justice Natalie Hudson, and Attorney General Keith Ellison on June 10th. What a mess that is. I know two very well, and we understand here. Oh, Lord. During the pardon meeting, Vang took responsibility for the assault that took of more than 2 decades ago. What I did was wrong. It was a serious crime. She was a child. He told the board, if I'm sent away, we lose everything. My children will lose their home. They will lose their education. They will grow up without a father, the 42-year-old said. Vang's victim, who remains unidentified, wrote a letter that she had forgiven him for his actions, which started when he was 18. While addressing the board on his decision to pardon the convicted offender, Walls incorrectly stated that, just remember, both were minors. So it was wrong. Following the deportation by the Trump administration, DHS Acting Secretary Lauren Biz issued a scathing statement about how a convicted predator could be pardoned by Walls and his government. ICE deported Vang, an illegal alien convicted offender. This monster repeatedly assaulted a 10-year-old girl. Tim Walz pardoned this criminal in an attempt to allow him to remain in our country. There are the criminal illegal aliens he and sanctuary politicians are protecting. We will always put the safety of the American people first. I mean, come on, you're acting like this is like Walz is acting like this was, 17-year-olds. We've seen that happen. Not this, 18, 17-year-old, whatever, really, and people, there's different thoughts about this across the country. But listen, laws are laws, and certainly minors are minors, and that's horrible. That's horrible. That's like, okay, that was a long time ago. We're just going, leave him here. This is what we have. And he's on the board. He should not be on the board. I mean, I'm sorry. And neither should Ellison. I mean, really? We need to keep the politicians away from things like that. It's unbelievable. Minnesota, excuse me, get a hold of your state. That's incredible. Absolutely incredible. Wow. This makes your blood pressure rise. Talking about blood pressure. Also in the news, England, was defeated by Argentina. And on Sunday, they will face Spain in the final. Great run, England, for the World Cup. It was a sad collapse. Looks like he had it. Messi moves on. And some people are going to hate that. So that's the heartbreak of competition. The thrill of victory, as we always heard when we were kids. The agony of defeat. And that is certainly the case there. Oh, my goodness. Unbelievable. Um, Back to the release of the prisoner. They had been in Iran since 24. The president thanked them for this goodwill gesture. Pardon me. Iran, a quote, Iran has allowed an American citizen who was wrongly detained in December 24, under the presidency of Sleepy Joe Biden, he says, to leave the country, wrote on Truth Social. She is now safely outside of Iran and in good condition. The United States of America appreciates this gesture of goodwill by Iran. They did not immediately name her. She has since been named, and she was, she was a part of a group helping, people underprivileged, and it's like a ministry type thing. And many times they will accuse some of these people of espionage in the country, and that's what she was accused of, and they've been locked up ever since. So I'm glad that in the midst of chaos, somebody, and what I say, I don't see the IRGC doing this at all. Somebody in the country is trying to do some things to alleviate the pressure of the situation, and it's the radicals. I think the country is divided. I think there's different people speaking for the country, and I believe behind the scenes we're dealing with some people on the ground and looking at possibilities of future government. Um, and the country is probably splintered. There's areas that are probably not as much under control of the IRGC as others. And somebody saw an opportunity here because this come out of nowhere. I mean, nowhere. And to get this happen in this climate is truly amazing. And shout out to all those people. I'm truly amazed that that was able to happen. So good for her, and I'm glad she's back. And boy, she's got a story to tell. Be interesting. I'm sure if she feels like it, that's a long time after some time in freedom. It'd be interesting to see if she makes the talk show circuit and talks about, what her time was like and what she was hearing, if anything, and what they said to her as she was leaving. I'd just be interested in hearing her story of what she would like to share. We don't know what that time was like, but at least she was in good shape. We have received prisoners back that were near death or already dead or died shortly after release because of the treatment they received and the torturing. So this is truly a blessing of God that this female was released back to her country. It's an American citizen, to her country and to her family, and we thank the Lord for it. Whoever's involved, I'm sure there'll be somebody out there that will hate it that the president had this happen under his watch, and I don't even know if he had anything to do with it. Who cares? Somebody who is an American citizen has been released. I remember when the hostages were released from Iran. This harkens us back to a day long ago. We remember it well, and that 444 days. And Ronald Reagan said, "Enough's enough." Former President Jimmy Carter tried to act like all his work had got them released. I'm sorry. No, I will never believe that. What happened is Ronald Reagan was coming into office, and he basically, I believe it was put forth, by the time I'm sworn in, they better be on the plane. Or, Reagan was like that. I mean, he would send the message. We don't want trouble, but if you don't do this, I basically said, we'll level your country. You let them go. And they were. I mean, this had been, the failed rescue mission, all the time, every day this was in front of us, them parading them around. I mean, it was horrible for the nation. And when Ronald Reagan sweared him in, they were making sure they were getting out of town. It's what a strong leader will do. So, but whoever worked on this behind the scenes, God bless them. It truly is amazing. It's almost a miracle, to be honest. It may be a miracle that this lady was released after all this time in the midst of the ongoing conflict between the two nations and the rhetoric which is being shared in Iran that this lady was released from whoever for however, I don't care. And she deserves to have her space, absolutely, and to go back into her life as normally as she can. And if she feels like it, sharing some of that, I definitely would be interested in listening. That's one of those. If you write the book, I'm probably buying it to read it because everybody's stories are interesting to me, and you hear these things, and it's important know what people went through. I've got several I'm reading right now. I just need to get caught up on my reading, which is ever challenging, but I enjoy reading people's biographies about their life and the things they went through. I think those are great lessons for all of us. God bless those who made this happen. And I mean, that truly is a blessing that she was released. And that's just been, going on for a little bit. So over a year and a half, a little over a year and a half. Let's see what else. Um, the president doesn't rule out decimating the IRGC, warns Iran he'll finish them off um, if they don't settle. I'm sorry, I'm so congested here. President Trump on Wednesday didn't rule out annihilating the Islamic Revolutionary Guard Corps as he ramped up his military strikes on Iran. Noting his tough talk on Iran, Fox Business asked the president if that meant he would destroy the powerful branch of Iran's military, just like he wiped out ISIS in his first term. Yeah, it does. It sounds like a countryman kind of thing to say. Trump responded to correspondent Edward Lawrence, "We'll see what's happening." So he's not playing. He said, We'll have Iran defeated soon. They'll be defeated very soon. He said the Pennsylvania Defense and Innovation Summit. Oil prices ticked up a little bit to $80 a barrel as the fighting resumed. Prices had been dropping amid hopes of a peace deal. So just skim me through some. I'm not reading all this. Just to give you a little flavor of some of the things you may not have heard of. Um, so many things. It was interesting. Interesting story here about the Blue Angels. I love the Blue Angels in Pensacola. But a Florida beach erupted into chaos Wednesday when an ultra low altitude Blue Angels flyover sent tents, chairs, and umbrellas flying into the air, leaving spectators on the shoreline stunned as the jet engines roared just feet above their heads. There's a video. The Breakfast with the Blues annual flyover, part of the Pensacola Beach Air Show, and if you've ever been there, you know how that is. It was wonderful. Sent sunbathers into a frenzy as the specialized U.S. Navy jets flew terrifyingly close to shore, stirring up clouds of sand and sending beach gear airborne. Um, One said, "I've been coming here for 10 years. I've never seen a pass like that in my life." Beachgoer Ashley Corn told the outlet. "I literally were going to be taken out by the Blue Angels, but it was amazing." And there's people I know would love that. Do that flyover every day. But that was probably a little low with the kids and everything there. But all the tents got knocked down. But they said it was worth it. It was awesome. Um, I have a friend, and he had met some military men who they do some. You have to get so many hours training, and they do some flybys. And one of those was a C-130 crew, and he was telling how his boy loved to see them fly over. They were under. They would make the turn about where he lived. He did that, and they said, "Oh, yeah." He said, "Tell us your address." So he gave me the address, and they said, "Be out there whatever day it was, same time. You'll enjoy the show." So they did a much lower altitude flyby as they made the turn to head south than they'd done. And I mean, it was rattling the windows in the houses and stuff. It was, I'm not saying it was illegal. It was much lower than they normally do. It rattled the neighborhood. His boys doing backflips. He loved it so much. I love that story. I wish I'd been there to experience it. That's great, the force of that. But I'm sure the neighborhood was like, what in the world is going on? Amazing. I think that is very cool. Let me look at one more thing, and then we're going to get out of here. We have an early um, meeting today, so I wanted to just look at one more little news item here, and then we'll get out of here for the day. Let's see. What is in the $95 billion reconciliation package? Let's look at a little bit of this. they're still trying to, pass this budget or this piece of um, hold on, things are acting up on me, trying to make me sign in when I don't need to. Maybe I do need to. I had to reset my computer last night, um, so I had to reset some passwords, and I apologize because that's not normally something I'm doing on the air. And you know what? You gotta do the whole thing. We may not. Look at that. You know, we can't do anything in our life anymore because everything becomes a password and a text. Um, there it goes. Okay. Sorry. But I am a subscriber to this. A lot of news, today you have to be subscribers to, or you can't read. And I am a subscriber to the Epic Times. And I like their news. And also 1819 News in Alabama. I love theirs. They've got an article too. I need to go over and grab real quick in relation to their politics. I was looking to see in the bill is Farm Aid. A resolution costs $12 billion in assistance to American farmers who have been adversely affected by U.S. tariffs. Included is $10 billion for election integrity. Uh, it will allow the states to implement parts of the Safeguard American Voter Eligibility, or SAVE America Act, a bill that would require proof of citizenship to register to vote and a photo ID to vote in federal elections. So some money to help with that in there as well. So that's a couple things that are central to this, as they really want to pass this act. So it gives some. It's $60 billion for the Department of War is another part of it. So it kind of gives you two or three things that's major. When you're hearing all the political rhetoric, it's three things that is basically in there now. And so we'll see. They're trying to push this. U.S. agricultural exports fell by 3% in 25 compared with 24. Most of the overall decline in U.S. exports is due to China, where imports of U.S. agricultural goods fell by 16 billion, and Canada, where imports from the United States were down by 1.3 billion. Additionally, farmers face disruption, and this is that hidden cost that farmers try to warn us about: fertilizer and fuel costs due to the conflict with Iran, but also global supply and demand and all that. So when those prices go up, the fertilizer goes up, and it puts some of these people out of business. They've been in business for their whole life as farmers. We've covered this on the podcast several times, and we do, want to say thank you to our farmers and all they do. I do want to go over to 1819 News and see if I can find really quickly this article that was yesterday that I wanted to touch on. If I can find it really quickly. They move theirs along pretty fast, so I might have to go back and do a search on that because I don't see it right now. My fault. I should have previewed it, but they get some. There's a great news organization as well. 1819 News. They got some nice merch items as well, which I have. And anyway, I'll go back and find that, and we'll cover it tomorrow. It was one of those great headlines that catches your attention as they were arguing back and forth in the state about some things. About Tuberville, he's made some. He said that he was going to. One of the things he said was he's going to change the prison system in Alabama quickly. There are lots of problems with it. They've got to build some new prisons by law, and he's not happy about it, and he really attacked on that. He also said we're running bare minimum. Tuberville vows to hire more state troopers if elected governor. That was another thing, and states are struggling with that. He's got some things where he's pardon speaking, very, and he's the kind of guy that follows up. This is not just political speak. He's the kind of guy that follows up on like that. Um, so anyway, there's a lot of people coming at him, but he should win this fairly easy, I believe. And there's challenges to his residency in the state that's been dismissed, and he's under a lot. He's under a lot of fire. Uh, I will find that article because I think it was one I wanted to cover. I don't see it now. So anyway, we'll let that be that. Stay cool today if you can. The temperatures are still up. Watch for those pop-up storms. They're certainly out there. And let's have a great Thursday. Tonight, on the racing hour, we missed our interview last night because our guest has a new phone and forgot she had her old phone with her. Got a new number and left it in a different part of the house and didn't hear us send and realize what she did and call and apologize. Hey, we all make mistakes like that. We will have her on tonight at 6 p.m. Eastern Daylight Time. And we're interested in talking to her. She sounds like a really interesting person. And that's the kind of people we love to have here on the network. They're wonderful people. And we love talking to these people in sports and athletics and whatever part of life you come from. It's great to have on the show. So we'll see her tonight as a special Thursday night. Biscuit Boy's on vacation. I don't know if he's left yet, but he's leaving for the islands. He's leaving the country. They're getting a couple weeks out of work and home and all that stuff. So y'all pray for him. And so he won't be here tonight. I'll still do a couple of shows, but we won't do the Cornbread Nation show. We'll wait till he gets back. That's a 2-man show, and we could not do that without him. We need to have him. I've done it. It doesn't work as well, and we need to have that. So we'll see you again on that tonight. I think maybe I may do the music show tonight. I think that'd be good. Plus PNN News, and also our debut of Wolf, the Wolf Nation Fantasy Sports Show. So we got some things to work with. We got some things to get done tonight. Have a great day out there, and we'll see you soon.